Leave Mushu alone! He's dragon! He's a dragon!
My ancestors sent a little lizard to help me.
Hey, dragon, not lizard. I don't do that tongue thing.
I've mentioned briefly in my other videos about my absolute faith that the live-action Mulan remake won't be anywhere as good as the animated version. As such, I refuse to watch it. I have better things to do with my time. However, that won't stop the onslaught of devoted Disney fans from gushing about it. How awesome it is, how empowering it is, blah blah blah. Let's be honest, it won't be. It really won't be. With one exception, I have been very disappointed with the live-action Disney remakes. In one way or another, all but Pete's Dragon have made fundamental writing mistakes that show that whoever the company hired on to make these things had no idea what they were doing. Maleficent is suddenly a misunderstood angsty woman, woo, and the fairies are dumb. Mowgli is as bland as a potato, while Shere Khan actually kills things on screen. Beauty and the Beast was made by the director behind the Twilight series, and overall I have very little confidence in them anymore. I think I already explained why remaking the Disney movies is a bad idea altogether in my other video, The Real Reason People Love Anime. So instead, I'd like to explain another fundamental writing mistake that this movie has already made based on the trailers. And that is the exclusion of Mushu. But you may argue that Mushu was a cartoony aspect of the movie, and by excluding him, you'll make the story 100% edgy and we'll be able to take it seriously as the adulty movie that it is. My response to that is, you're stupid. First of all, what are you trying to prove? That Mulan can be taken seriously? What can't be taken seriously about the old version? Taking out the talking dragon doesn't change the public perception of animation. But I understand your plight. I already made a whole video about it earlier. So if you want to go down this rabbit hole, I suggest you watch that one instead. But secondly, and more relevant to the topic of this video, no it wouldn't. Getting rid of Mushu wouldn't make the movie better. In actuality, it would make it worse. Hence the title. Mushu is one of the main reasons you love this movie to begin with. And I'm not talking about his sense of humor, though he is pretty funny.
Who am I? I am the guardian of lost souls. I am the powerful, the pleasurable, the indestructible Mushu. Oh, pretty high, huh?
No, what I'm talking about is the much more important role that he plays in the context of the story. Think about it. What is Mushu exactly? Well, okay, in the movie he's a disgraced fire dragon that seeks to regain his place on the podium. But that's not what I'm talking about here. Okay, to illustrate what I mean, watch this scene.
All right, rise and shine, Sleeping Beauty. Come on, hop, hop, hop. Get your clothes on, get ready. Got breakfast for you. Look, you get porridge, and it's happy to see you. Hey, get out of there. You're gonna make people sick.
Am I late?
No time to talk. Now remember, it's your first day of training, so listen to your teacher and no fighting. Play nice with the other kids, unless, of course, one of the other kids want to fight. Then you have to kick the other kid's butt.
But I don't want to kick the other kid's butt.
Don't talk with your mouth full. Now let's see your war face. Oh, I think my bunny slippers just ran for cover. Come on, scare me, girl. Ah, that's my tough-looking warrior. That's what I'm talking about. Now get out there and make me proud. What do you mean the troops just left?
They what?
Wait, you forgot your sword. My little baby off to destroy people.
Okay, with me so far? Now, let's imagine this scene, but without Mushu in it. Do you see what I mean? Not only does Mushu bring some much-needed energy to the scene, but he also does something far more important. He's the person Mulan confides in. Wholeheartedly, unconditionally, and unabashedly. Why is this important? Well, you guys remember the Hunger Games, right? I only saw the first movie and had no desire to see the others, but from what I've heard, Katniss Everdeen has a much more vibrant personality in the book than the movie. That's because a book has something most movies can't get away with. A narrator. The narrator has the unique opportunity to provide a window into a character's soul. A narrator is almost like a character within themselves, and sometimes they are, in that a narrator can tell you a character's thoughts and feelings as much or as little as the narrator likes. Katniss Everdeen was a tempest in a teapot kind of character, a raging volcano behind a cool facade. In the movie, she came across as bland and disinterested because we only got to see her cool facade, and not the raging volcano inside. There's a rule in visual storytelling to show, don't tell. And most moviegoers get pretty annoyed at the excessive use of a narrator or a text crawl. But the inner world of a character is one of the richest, most vibrant parts of the human condition. So, how do you show what a person is thinking as opposed to telling them? Well, more often than not, it's by having the person talk to another person. Whether it's a sister, a brother, fellow adventurers, a crazy mad scientist next door, or a volleyball with a face on it, there have been some very clever solutions to this problem over the years.
How could I have been so careless? 1.21 gigawatts! Tom, how am I going to generate that kind of power? It can't be done, can it?
But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus on one of the most widespread, and that is the cute animal sidekick. Here, let's look at Tintin for a good example of this. And not just because I watched it with my honorary nephews. For those of you unfamiliar with Tintin, it was a Belgian comic book series published by a guy who went under the name of Hergé. There is recently a Steven Spielberg adaptation that came out a few years back, but I highly recommend the Nelvana animated series. They adapted almost every one of the books, minus the politically incorrect ones, and overall did a really good job. A+. Anyway, the series stars Tintin, a plucky young reporter with the ingenuity of MacGyver. He travels the globe and solves crimes with the help of his friends Captain Haddock, Professor Calculus, and his faithful dog Snowy. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus on Snowy. Now, yes, Snowy is a cute animal sidekick, but as far as cute animal sidekicks go, he's one that nobody really complains about. That's probably because he never talks. In the book series, you can read his thoughts every once in a while, but in the show, he never does. Everything you learn about his personality is completely visual. He, like the rest of the series, is pretty grounded in reality. Now, look at this clip from the opening. Tintin is on a moving train and needs to jump off. But what strikes me most here is Snowy's reaction. Look at it. He's scared. He coils back in fear. He closes his eyes. He doesn't want this. And then Tintin jumps. This sequence wouldn't be nearly as dramatic if we didn't see Snowy squirm first. We see Tintin's bravery only because we see Snowy's cowardice first. Now, let's get back to Mulan. More specifically, this iconic scene. Now let's just sit back and watch this for a second.
Alright, you might want to light that right about now.
Quickly, quickly! Come on, we gotta help! You miss! It was 3 feet in front of you!
Did you see it? I love this scene for so many different reasons, but here's why it would never work without Mushu. Number 1. He narrates Mulan's thoughts.
Alright, you might want to light that right about now.
Quickly, quickly!
You can see her squirm, but it wouldn't be nearly as funny or effective without Mushu telling her to hurry up. And number 2, Mushu has no idea what she's doing. We get earlier shots in the scene where we can piece together what her plan is. Cause avalanche, kill army. But Mulan wouldn't come across nearly as smart if we didn't see Mushu's stupidity. If he had screamed, "Congratulations, Mulan, you have successfully shot the rocket at the mountain. Good job!" instead of,
You missed! How could you miss? It was 3 feet in front of you!
then we wouldn't get the impression that Mulan is a smarter cookie than her compatriots. Remove Mushu? And you get none of that. So, what would I recommend for Disney to do in their future live-action remakes? Don't remake them at all! I stand by my notion that some stories are better told in animation than in live-action. But, since Disney is so intent on remaking them all anyway, I have no choice but to put up with it. Regardless, getting rid of the cute animal Sidekick doesn't solve anything. If you're going to get rid of them, then you have to replace them with something else. And that really doesn't work for a story like Mulan. The point is that she can't confide in anyone or she'll die! This isn't like the Hunchback of Notre Dame where you can just make the statues stop moving and everything will be fine. You need to replace Mushu with something better. So, what? You gonna have her talk to her horse instead? I mean, that could work, but she'd have to go to the stable every day. For no reason other than to talk with her horse, but then somebody could overhear her. I'm not saying it couldn't work, but no. Let's make Mulan Katniss Everdeen. A+. I don't know. This whole trend just bothers me. I'm tired of Disney sucking the joy out of their movies and trying to pass them off as somehow better for such a superfluous reason as hiring actors instead of just drawing them. The whole trend just reeks of desperation to me, like Disney has completely run out of ideas. So, no, I'm not gonna watch this movie. You can't make me. I think the best way to end this is with a quote from C.S. Lewis. When I was 10, I read fairy tales in secret and would have been ashamed if I had been found out doing so. Now that I am 50, I read them openly. When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be very grown up. Good night, everybody.
I never want to see a naked man again.